Okay, hi Year 9. I'm going to explain the mini assessment that you'll be doing in your asynchronous lesson. So this is the Google Classroom's post that you will see. There are 3 documents attached to it. So we've got the answer sheet, the question sheet, and a structured answer sheet if you're struggling. So just looking at the question sheet, here are 4 of the questions. There's 5 questions in total. Just to clarify, you can use your notes. It's an open book assessment, so you can use your notes and you can use the internet, but make sure you aren't copy and pasting information because we will be able to tell and we are marking this. So make sure that you try your hardest when you do this. So I'm just going to go through how we might structure the answers for each of these questions so you're clear when you go to do it. So for question 1 and 2, so these are 6 marks in total, but for question 1 it's 4 marks and we're explaining the ways that congestion can cause problems for people in Lagos, and we're going to use this photograph to help us. So using and referring back to the photo, you need two main points, and then you need to explain each of these points for 4 marks. Question 2, you need to name 2 other challenges that Lagos faces as a result of urban growth. So you can use the photograph as well as reference to try and help you, and you can just name 2 different other challenges. You don't need to explain these because it's only 2 marks, but make sure you include 2. One thing I will say here is that you can't use congestion again. So congestion is traffic. We're not allowed to use that answer again because we've already seen it. So then moving on to this second section, we are now going to study a graph here that we can see on the 3rd page. So this graph is showing us the population of the world's biggest metro cities, and we've got populations down the side, and then we've got time along the bottom, and we also have our key of our different metro areas. So what we're going to do first is question 3. We're going to suggest how the following factors have led to population growth in Lagos. A and B together are going to be worth 2 marks here. So if I'm just going to go to the answer sheet for you, so you can see how this would look on here. So here we go. Here's where you would write your answers for question 3A. So you need to define natural increase, and then you need to explain how this might have led to population growth. The same needs to happen for 3B. So you need to define migration, and then you need to explain how it's led to population growth. So then moving on to question 4, we have 5 different statements here, and you need to, from the graph, using the graph, you need to decide which 2 of the following statements are true. So make sure in that you know, or you can highlight if that helps you. You need to make sure that you know that 2 of these, you need to say that 2 of these are true, not 1, 2. And you can just write, so for example it's A and C, you'd write A and C here. So then for task 5, this is a bit of a longer question. This is our extended question that we're going to use. So the question is, using an example of a city in an LIC, so we're going to use Lagos, to what extent can urban planning improve life for the urban poor? So this is a 6 mark question, and I would suggest that you use this grid here to help you. So this is basically how we're going to structure it. So we're going to have a brief introduction. So just to go back to the question quickly, we're looking at to what extent, so we need to have a balanced argument here. To what extent can urban planning improve life for the urban poor? So do we know an urban planning scheme in Lagos that we can use as an example for this? We do, and it's called Tempo Housing. So what we're going to do here is use Tempo Housing to discuss both how it improves the lives and how some people might suggest it doesn't improve lives. And we need to also then have our own opinion about how good this scheme is at improving people's lives. So we're going to start with a brief introduction. We're going to start by introducing what this scheme is. So we'd say an example of a strategy is tempo housing, and then you might go on to explain it a little bit further. You might even include some data here. You're going to need to, you can use your booklets for this, which you should have all, most of the information on tempo housing. So then we're going to move on to our first paragraph, which is one side of the argument. So this, we might say, how does this strategy improve lives? You might want to include 1 or 2 points here, but you need to make sure, well, if you've made a point, you then need to go on and explain it, evidence, and link. Link it back to the question. So peel, we need to make a point, explain it, have some evidence to back it up, and then link it back to the question. So then we're going to move on to the other side of the argument, because it's a to what extent question. So we might say, however, some people argue that it's not been successful, and you can come up with some reasons here. And then you need to say why. So you need to say this means that, you need to, or because, come up with some evidence, and then link it back to the question again. Then we're going to move on to our conclusion. And I'd like you here to tell us your opinion. You need to use what you've written to say whether you think this is a successful scheme or not. And you write your answer just underneath here. There is also some structure here which you could use. So you can use this sheet if that would help you more. This is the structured answer sheet to help you out if you do need help. It tells you where to write this means that, or where to explain your answers. And that is everything.